Hi everyone, we're continuing with Project Tiguan. Started the car yesterday, as you know. You also saw a number of things that were showing on the dashboard that had to do with the number of different things, right? I think I will need to reset the code first before determining what the problem is. But there's something else. So the next project was to redo the brakes. Last time I drove that car, when I arrived, noticed that there was a pretty strong smell coming from the brakes, and the car is in neutral at the moment, and sure enough, the wheel doesn't even move. I mean, it's completely jammed. I don't exactly know what's causing this, outside of perhaps the brakes actually being completely jammed in place. I have rarely seen that bad. It's pretty unusual. Usually you can still spin the wheel, there's some resistance, but this one seems to be completely seized up. So I have new rotors, I have new pads. I was planning on replacing everything until I noticed that the rotors, there's a bit of a lip on the outside of the rotor, so they're not really that worn out, but servicing the brakes was the next step anyways, and clearly it's going to be required in this case. So I'm going to take the wheel off, see what happens, and yeah, we'll take it from there. But it's and that's actually on top of another problem that I just had today, where the boot doesn't open anymore at all. Like, it doesn't open with a remote, with the fob, doesn't open with a button inside, doesn't open with the door latch. So it really points to a fuse, but we'll see. And the reason why I needed to open the trunk is to find the key, right, for the anti-theft lug nut that was installed on that car. So just gonna disconnect that, take the wheel off if I can. Okay, there it is. Put this aside for now. At least the tires are actually pretty good on this car. That's positive. And see how the actual calipers are pretty rusty. The brakes are rusty. The pads are in really tough condition. Let me show you that a little bit closer, so you get a sense of where we're at here. I'm actually end up replacing a number of components here, but yeah, the pads are pretty thin. So the pads definitely need to be replaced. The rotors there's a lot of corrosion on them. There's a bit of a lip on the outside, so I don't think I'm gonna keep them. Yeah, the calipers are covered in dust. So there's a lot of work required here. There's also a noise that's coming from this side, which I believe could be the steering knuckle here. At least the CV joints and CV boots seem to be in good condition. That's positive. A bit of rust, but that's not really unheard of. And there is also some corrosion starting at the top here, which will require the trim to actually come off. So I might take care of this at the same time. I'm not sure whether I'm going to start this now though. So the links seem to be good, but I'm gonna have to test these a little bit more, because there is a bit of a clunking sound that I've noticed when I drive the car over bumps. So that could be coming from this. I'm gonna test all that and see what comes out of it. Stay put. All right, so we're not really that far ahead here. The set screw here needs to come out, right? And it is out. Surprisingly, it did come out pretty easily. This is a T30 Torx, so a small screw. Make sure you clean up the inside, and make sure you insert your bit all the way in, because these have a tendency to strip, right? Calipers are really rusted out, and in fact, one of the first things that you have to do is to remove the anti-vibration or anti-no spring. And it did come out easily at the top here, but it snapped at the bottom. So I have a piece of spring now that's caught in there. So this will have to be replaced now, which is great. Now on that side, it's not really looking any better. I mean, at this particular time, what we can see is that the piston is actually really pushed far very far, in fact. And I don't exactly know why it got to that point, but it looks like there is not much of a pad left on this side. So I'm gonna try to remove that somehow, because you need to push the piston back. There's also a lot of corrosion here, so I will need to clean up this caliper quite thoroughly. There's a little cable for the ABS here that needs to be it's not the ABS actually here. I think this is the pad wear signal or warning, and it connects to the back of the pad. But there are two screws in the back here that are somewhat protected with this little rubber pieces here on top, right? I hope you can see that. I'm gonna try to actually bring you a better view if I can. I'm kind of tangled here. So here, see these rubber parts. So they have to, this one here, and there's another one at the bottom. So they have to come out. You can't remove them like that. At least I wasn't able to, and I don't want to do further damage, obviously. The bit to take that out is an Allen, surprisingly. I was hoping it would be, I was expecting a Torx. It's actually an Allen 7, and that fits right in, right? So I'm probably gonna have to use a breaker bar to kind of loosen that up. And yeah, actually, I might let the video run and see how that's gonna go. Lots of fun ahead, clearly. Rust makes things complicated. I'm still not sure how I'm going to be able to push the piston back in there, but the fact that the wheel is not spinning is a pretty good indication that there's something pretty wrong here. So got my breaker bar here. I'll put my bit in there, and now hope for the best. Okay, well that came out easy. Surprisingly easy, actually. There's another one at the bottom. And that came out easy too. Good stuff. Good stuff. This is good news. Okay. So the main problem really right now is how to push the piston back a little bit more, because at the moment it's still very much in the way, and I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do that. Yeah, the pad is basically crushed there, and the piston is fully extended. It's very rare that you see so much rubber here. That's not a good thing. I really don't want to damage anything, especially the piston and the rubber, although the pad in this case, oh boy, this is seized. Yeah, it's badly seized. I just need a bit of space. Hopefully I can slide the caliper back out, and once it's out I'll be able to slide the caliper out. Okay, second one is out, not looking any better. And it is Allen, definitely not Torx. So we have these two out. So technically the caliper now should slide out. I got the feeling it's not gonna go without a hitch. It's gonna fight me every step of the way. There's lots of rust and corrosion coming out. So here I'm tapping on the actual outside. There are two pieces, right? Okay, there's this piece here, there's that piece here. that piece is still not loose, right? It's still attached to the back. We're gonna have to take this out when we replace the rotor because it's gonna get in the way. So right now what I'm doing is just trying to loosen up the upper part here, or the this part right there. Seems that it's loosening up a little bit. The rotor actually just moved, so that's probably a good thing. It's moving. Not fast, it's moving. At this point, I think the rotors will have to be replaced anyways. Probably would have been easier not to remove the set screw on the rotor, just to keep it nice and steady, because right now the rotor is moving. It's coming out. It's coming out, I can see. Oh boy, yeah. The pads are completely shot. I have a tool actually to retract the piston. I'll show this to you once I get there. Right now it's rust galore. Just want to make sure it's not pulling too hard on the hose in the back. Seems to be good so far. So you want to yank it top and bottom until ultimately it's going to be free enough to come loose. It's almost out. The pads are really not in good condition. Pads are jammed. There's lots of dust. I've done a number of brake jobs, but this one is bad. There we are. Alright, so we got a pad that's crushed in here. So what we'll do is we'll kind of leave this one here for now. Gonna get some wire so that we can hang it to the shock spring up there. But yeah, and look at that. Can't really. Let me actually change the angle. I'm gonna try to retrieve the other pad, which is still stuck on the piston here. There we go. Wow, that's pretty bad here. Let me show you what this looks like when corrosion sets in. There you go. So that's one pad that was on the outer edge, and that's the second one. That's on the inner edge. This one actually kind of clips on the piston. And look at my rotor. Cannot even, yeah, this is like corroded. I don't even know how you get to that point. I've never seen that. And now I haven't driven the car in a while. Obviously that adds to the whole situation. But so now we have a better view of the back here too. Actually, so you see these two rubber boots, one here, one there, and the pins actually slide in them. We're gonna have to do a complete cleanup of this because it's there's a lot. Oh, this actually even broke, but that disconnects from the top here. So the new pad should come with a new wire, and we're gonna clean all this up. Got a wire brush that I will be using to do that job because it's pretty nasty right now. So the one thing that we need to do still is in the back here. I'll try to give you a little bit of light. In the back we have these two large bolts one here and one there, that are holding this other part of the brake system. It's kind of the like a support bracket, and these pieces are the ones that the caliper is sliding into over the pins that were removed earlier, right? So this has to come off. I do want to secure the caliper though, and I'm gonna have to push the piston back in. So I have again a tool to do that, so that should work pretty well, hopefully. Right now I'm just gonna set everything up, remove this, and do some cleaning, remove the rotor, and yeah, continue working at it. All right, see you soon. All right, so quick update. Well, not good news, really. Let me show you what's going on with all the vehicles, typically. You'll get a better sense of where we're at here. So, we have a caliper here. The caliper fundamentally is a piston, right? So we have a brake fluid that is sent through that hose to the back of that piston, pushes the piston, pushes the brake pads that are sitting on this side and on that side. And since it's actually moving, normally at least, it's moving along these two columns, then the pressure is actually spread between the two sides evenly, right? Why do we see brakes failing? And that's the case in this instance here. If you look at here, well, the piston goes in and out, right? Just a little bit, but over time it will expand to compensate for the wear of the pads, right? As your pads are getting thinner, the piston has to travel further in order to push them against the rotor. We'll see the same with rotor wear, but pads usually are the ones that get worn the quickest. Now, the problem we're having here is that normally the piston slides into the body, into the carrier, and that piston is protected against the elements, right? So what you see here, the shiny part, is no different from what you see on an excavator. You see these big pistons, right, that are shiny. A big part is shiny, and that's the part that comes in and out of the body of the cylinder to actually operate the arm, right? You've seen those before, I'm sure. Well, that should not be exposed, right? And you see how much rust there is on that thing. So that's not good news. That's actually really bad news, because the piston now is compromised. The surface is not shiny anymore. It's probably jammed. I will try to push it in, but it's unlikely it's going to go anywhere. And the lip on which the rubber seal here, the rubber boot that's supposed to protect the shaft of the piston, is normally kind of attaching to. This little lip is gone, right? You see there's a little piece of metal sticking out here, and there is a piece of metal under there that we can see. See this piece here, right? The tip of my thumb. Well, that's normally attached to the piston body right here, right? And the boot is kind of latching on there so that it stays in place. Here, everything is basically screwed up, right? So the whole caliper is I mean, even if I manage to push this back in, and even if I manage to actually reattach the seal somehow, which is only going to last for so long because there's no lip for that thing to attach to, then it's going to fail again. At some point, it's just going to jam. So at this point, the right thing to do is to replace the front calipers, and there's no other way. Additionally, when I disconnected this connector here, actually, so this has multiple wires in it. There are two. There's one in the front, and it kind of splits here, right? So it goes in the back, which actually is your ABS sensor. Then this sucker decided to break, right? So I didn't yank it that hard, but this thing is now broken. That's really bad news, because this harness connects here. That's electrical wiring, right? So it connects in the back here, connects in the front, and then it goes up and into the body up here. So this would need to be disconnected. I'm not sure where it's going, but chances are it's going to a computer or an electronic control module for the ABS. So it's just a mess, right? So This one I'm gonna try to fix somehow. I'm not sure how I'm gonna do it because quite frankly, the contacts are still there, but it's the plastic housing that snapped, right? And that's gonna be a bit of a challenge to, it's not really fixable, quite frankly. But I'm gonna maybe wrap it in electrical tape so that it doesn't move too much, and you know, ultimately replacing this harness will be quite expensive and might be difficult. I'll look into it, but it's unlikely that it's going to be something that I will be doing. So yeah, not really great so far. I'm going to try to see whether I can find some brake calipers, because these ones are no good, and I anticipate the other side won't be any better, so I'll get a pair of them. I might get new ones. Plus this one actually has a piece of the spring that's stuck in there too. I don't even know how I would be able to chase it out of there. It's just bad. So at that point, yeah, we're gonna have to disconnect the caliper altogether, take it out. Things can go further wrong. I mean, gonna have to actually remove that screw in the back that attaches the brake hose to the caliper, and then remove the caliper. It's just, yeah, it's more work than it should have been. I mean, the rotor is shot too, by the way. This is yeah, there was a lot of corrosion inside. It was kind of crumbling. So this guy had to be replaced, so that's fine. But the additional work related to the caliper and to the piston was not anticipated. So it's just, you know, a stark reminder of how things can go wrong when you work on older cars. And that's a prime example of that. So, okay, I'm gonna start looking for calipers, and at this point, yeah, I'm gonna stop this project because there's nothing I can do any further. So stay put, and I will provide you with an update shortly. Wish me good luck. Hey everyone. So continuing with the brake project, I decided to get new calipers. The other one is, as we, you know, assessed together, the other one is just dead. There is the rubber boot is damaged. It's a matter of time until they die completely. And the piston had corrosion on it. It just wasn't a good idea to even keep going with those. Considering how critical brakes are to a car, I decided to get new ones. And so I got them from a German auto part. You're probably familiar with those. And this is a fundamentally reman. It's not new, but a reman full caliper. So look at this beauty. It's you know, it's great to be able to actually handle a part without having to wear gloves, although in this particular case I probably should have because they're kind of oily. But we got the caps, little caps actually on the boots for the columns. Everything is lubricated, everything is ready to go. So I'm really excited about this because that's going to save me a ton of time. And these were about $100 a piece, right? So I got the driver's side and I've got the passenger side. So now I've got new rotors, new pads, new calipers. The only drawback to this is obviously the fact that I'm gonna have to purge the whole system, because that's the process, right? But considering that you need to flush your braking fluid, apparently from what I've read, the suggested frequency for that is once a year. I think it's a bit extreme, but I don't even know whether this circuit has been purged ever. So I'm gonna need probably the help of a friend to purge the system, press on the brake pedal, and me actually ensuring that all the air is out. But you know, the cost of a bottle of brake fluid is not that high, so it's definitely worth it. But this is the update for now. So I'm gonna continue clean up everything, try to fix the connector that I broke accidentally, and then reassemble everything. And so I'll make another video for that. So stay tuned. All right. So considering that since we're replacing the caliper altogether, we need to remove the screw, right? So I'm gonna use my impact on this because it's pretty tight, and I just don't have any other option I can think of at the moment. So this is an 11 millimeter bit that I need here. Alright, so now that I have pressure, just protecting my hub here because I might get messy. I'm going to try to hold it in place. Alright, so I bumped up the pressure a bit. It doesn't seem to be collaborating so far. Now it's tightening, which is awesome. Of course it came out easily now. The cylinder is going to be full of fluid. Luckily, even if I was tightening, worst thing that could have happened was that I would have screwed up the thread on the piston on the caliper, but since I'm replacing it anyway, it's not a big deal. So right now it's just emptying itself. Probably just going to release that now because the caliper is going to be replaced altogether. I'm just going to empty it because remember there's fluid behind the cylinder, so this thing fundamentally is full of brake fluid, right? And check your setting on your impact. Just don't do like I do, right? So this is supposed to come out, however, because the washers have to be replaced. So we're gonna have to look into this. As of how this is going to come out. I have two, on the new caliper there are actually two copper washers. So presumably there's one that goes on top and one that goes under. Considering that I was tightening this thing to death, I'm wondering whether the washer got completely crushed now. There's a possibility. Oh, I think it's coming out. Again, educational video as of what to do and what to be careful about, what not to do. And the looks of it, I'm gonna have to use a pair of vice grips. Try to actually hold this, the washer in the vice and unscrew the nut or the bolt, actually the bender bolt at the same time. Because right now I would have hoped that this would just unscrew from the washer, but it's not, doesn't seem to be happening. And arm yourself with rags because this will likely get messy for you as well. Put a sheet of cardboard even if you have to. Try to actually keep your working place clean. I'll disconnect this for now. I'm gonna get some pliers and see if I can yank it out. Alright, so I've got this here. I'm gonna try to grab onto the washer, which is pretty thin. There you go, I think I'm on it. It does spin, that's good news, which means that I should be able to take it out. Yeah, it is coming out. It's just kind of crushed, obviously, because I was tightening it to death earlier. And there it is. Good. So now I have one at the bottom and I have another washer. I don't even know whether there's a washer at the top here. It seems to be, but this one got seriously crushed. So yes, we have replacement washers and a new bolt. So we're in good shape here. This is probably going to keep dripping. There's no reason why it would stop, since the brake fluid tank is actually sitting at a higher position than the bolt here, or the connector is just going to keep emptying itself. So I'm just going to let it drip and bring the new caliper and continue on. Alright, so back to our brake installation project. I'll tell you how I'm planning to do it, right? I will zoom out a tiny bit, yeah, so that you have a view of everything, including the benjo bolt up here. So what we're gonna do here is reinstall the whole system. Make sure you keep your hands clean. You don't want to put any of the brake fluid on either the pads or the rotors, ideally, right? Although you would probably need to use some brake cleaner after that. And try to keep everything clean. I just realized that there's a leak here on my end. It's actually going down the hose now and dripping everywhere. So I'm just gonna keep that clean. There we go. So now there's a brake fluid in the back here, which I did not. I wanted to prevent that, and now it's everywhere. So that's great. Ideally, when you do this stuff, and it's hard here because I'm doing a video at the same time, but you want to try to reconnect that brake line as quickly as you can. Here I wasn't really fully ready because I was checking the angle of the video and making sure that the video was working and all this, so it kind of makes things a little bit more complicated. And I got some brake fluid a little bit in the back here because it kind of dripped following the little hose here. So what we're going to do is actually put the rotor back on. I could actually reconnect the caliper now, but I just want to make sure that once I reconnect the caliper that I can put it back on the system. Although in this particular case I might actually do it now. Now I need another bit because it's not 11 anymore on these new ones. So these ones are using a 10 mil screw to hold the benjo bolt in place. So in fact I'm probably going to do this first. Okay, so I'm going to take this out. Got the first washer. It's reasonably clean, so the fact that it's dripping. Yep. And the second washer, I just don't want this to keep dripping. So I'm going to do this first. And now the caliper, and it should screw back on pretty easily because this is brand new. The copper washers are only there similar to when you do your oil change, right? You'll have a copper washer. Well, not on all cars actually, but on most cars you will have a copper washer. So now our caliper is reconnected. So what we'll do, we're gonna have to tighten that nut obviously. I'm gonna take it out of the way, reattach it up here. There we go, make sure this doesn't damage anything. It's dripping, so I'm gonna tighten it a little bit more. There we are, should stop now. Good. Still dripping a tiny bit. Okay, we're good now. Try to make sure that the hose doesn't get damaged, obviously. That sounds like an obvious thing to do. Now what we're going to do is put the rotor back on, put the set screw, then we're gonna have to load the caliper with at least one of the pads, the pad that actually inserts into the piston, right? Because you have two pads, and actually one of them comes with this mounting bracket, and this has to be inserted into the piston, so it has to be done first. And normally what you would do is you would loosen these two Allen bolts, and the caliper will then swing open, and you'll be able to work on the pads. In this particular case, I just don't want to do that, so I'm just gonna do it this way so that I don't have to touch these bolts. So in fact, what I might do here is just load the caliper with the first pad at least. So this is good now. You're gonna have to also run the contact. There's a pad wear connector here that needs to be connected. The wire is gonna come out at the bottom. See how that goes. It's a bit of a learning experience for me too, because I've never done the brakes on this vehicle. Okay, well that's out now, so I guess that's a problem solved. I'm gonna insert this on there. Again, make sure your hands are clean. Okay, that's on. Then, well, since this is out, I should be really putting the rotor on. So I'm gonna do this now, because otherwise I'm gonna have a problem here. Okay, so you're good here. So I've got the new rotor here, which is actually pretty heavy. Gonna mark the position of the set screw. What I'm going to do here is put a little bit of lithium grease on the surface of the hub. Just to prevent any contact corrosion. But the previous rotor actually came out pretty easily, so this was good. Made my life a little bit easier. Okay, now we have the rotor, which is really heavy. We have the set screw, which is right here. I have my bit here, so I'm gonna put this on. Note again the position of the set screw ahead of time so that you can center on top of it. That's right here. And the idea here is that you just tighten the set screw by hand so that it doesn't move too much, right? There we are. Gonna give it a bit of a squeeze. All right, now we have our new rotor, which is in place. We're gonna get our two 19 mil. I think these are 19 mils. No, there were 21 actually. It's 21 bolts. I have to look up the torque for those because I don't remember. And we have our second pad, which is here. I've also fixed the connector here with a super glue, and seems to be holding pretty good. So I'm gonna reinstall this big caliper assembly. Again, put a little bit of grease on the shoulder where the pad is gonna rub and glide. There we go. Now the other one technically is inserted into the piston, so it really shouldn't go anywhere. This guy can now get in here. It goes like that. Trying not to touch the surface of the pad as much as I can. There you go, it's inserted. Now I got pads on both sides. Everything is pretty good. I've got my second 21 mil nut here, which I'm gonna use because the other one right now is taking a bath. Just gonna add a little bit of grease here because it's a little difficult to put in otherwise. WD-40 would probably work better for that use. There we go. So it's inserted. This now can be connected back in, and so technically that job is pretty much done outside of the purging. Obviously, that still needs to happen, right? So I'm gonna retrieve my other 21 mil, which is now in a bath of brake fluid. On the bright side, this bolt now inserts really easily. So remember, these have to be torqued, right? There are critical bolts to the braking system, so they absolutely have to be torqued. Gonna have to look up the value. I will I will put it in the video. This is good. A rotor is mobile. This is good too. And yeah, so that's basically it. I'm gonna have to also tighten the nut on the brake line. I mean the new bolt, because that 10 mil needs to be tightened. I need to look at the torque required for that because I don't know it by heart. I'm just gonna give it a bit of a squeeze here. Oh, it's already pretty tight actually. And that will prevent any further leakage. So that was an interesting experience. Well, for me it was, at least. I hope it was helpful for you too. I did clean up the center hub as well here. Normally you have caps going on top of this opening here that prevents corrosion from coming in. In this particular case, obviously there was none. So I had to do a pretty serious cleanup here of the center cap. And at this point, it's, you know, I'm gonna have to reconnect the sensor for the pad wear sensor, and this side will be fundamentally done. Right? I'm gonna try to clean this up a little bit, but there's not a lot of fluid that actually leaked, so it's good. All right. I don't think I'll make a video for the second side or the other side, the passenger side, because it's fundamentally the same thing, not a lot of differences. If you have any questions, let me know. And yeah, so this is it for this one. All right, so quick update on the passenger side. And this one took me a little bit longer because I had to, first of all, the set screw was missing. So I had to find another screw, re-tap the hole, which was very corroded. This was an 814, I believe, tap that I used. I'll double check. and then the rest of the operation went pretty well. So one thing that you have to keep in mind is that there is no pad wear sensor on this side. So on the other side we had a Y, if you remember, right? That was splitting over there. That was going to the ABS and to the wear sensor. On the passenger side, there isn't any wear sensor, and that's normal. In fact, it doesn't even come with the pad, right? So you wouldn't find yourself with a wire dangling or with nothing to plug it to, right? So I still need to purge the brakes. I need somebody to help me with that because you need somebody to pump the brakes and someone to actually operate the screw. So I'm going to do this tomorrow. These springs are not necessarily super easy to put back on, but if you have a pair of adjustable pliers, then you just insert it on one end, grab the other side, wedge it into the hole, don't push it all the way, then bring the spring over the shoulder of the carrier, and then insert the spring fully in, and then you're in. The way that I was able to reinstall all this fairly easily is install the pad on the piston first, the one that's got the clamps on the back, insert it into the piston, then assemble so the piston is connected to the carrier, so leave it that way. Then in order to actually clamp it on the back, clamp the first pad on the back of the piston, I actually had to loosen up the Allen columns, the sliding pins on the back. I found that it was much easier to manage to push it into the piston because this pad actually locks into the piston inside. The piston is hollow, and it locks it in, right? It's got these clamps that we could see on the other side earlier. So once you do that, put the caliper back onto the carrier. Then you put one screw, the top screw in the back, this big 21 mil right here. So you put this one on. That allows the whole assembly to actually swivel up and down. Then you put the second pad in position, and then you put the rotor, you lift up the whole assembly all the way up until that basically touches the splash guard here, and then insert the rotor into position and put it back down, and then put the other 21 bolt at the bottom, secure the set screw here, and you're pretty much done. So it was much easier, obviously, right, than the previous one. It's obviously comes with experience. I find this a little awkward though to do, but it's been a while since I've done brakes, so it could be just me. So I'm gonna purge everything tomorrow, but this operation is now completed. I have brand new brakes on this side and on the other side, which I'm gonna show you. And yeah, so that looks really nice. Brand new brakes. So that should be working well. The other caliper, actually, let me show you what it looks like, but it's pretty banged up too. It's quite damaged, and the pads and everything. It was just a rust fest, this whole thing. So yeah, the pads are still in there. Actually, I didn't even remove them because they were quite worn out. Now it's all contaminated, so it doesn't really matter. The spring is still in place. I just basically loosened up the 221 bolts in the back, disconnect the benjo bolt for the brake line, and then the whole thing came out. And I'm like, okay, well, screw that. I'm just gonna take it all out the way it comes, and that's exactly what I did. Much easier this way, and considering I was replacing both of them, it didn't really matter. On this side, though, these were still there, the two little caps actually on the boots, which was good, but the rest was very corroded, right? So I think this operation was a good thing. I'll see what the back looks like. I'm not too sure. The rear brakes, I do want to purge the front first and then take it for a drive and see what happens. The back might be okay, and if in case you're wondering, the tank is here for the brake fluid, and it requires some DOT4. So I don't have any. I have DOT3 that I was using with my Jetta TDI. Now I need to get some DOT4. And regarding the tap earlier that I was telling you that I used, it was a 1/4 inch. Actually, I think it has to be 20. It's 1420, I guess. Yeah, 1420. Because I have this set that's actually it's metric and imperial. and I think it's a mistake on there because it's a quarter 20, but quarter 20 is actually here. Well, that's quarter 28. Oh, that's quarter 20. It's not labeled correctly. So it goes 10, 1024, 1032, 1224, and that has to be 1420, I think, because everything else is in metric on this side. So that's why I used anyways. The set screw actually did go in, no problem. So I suspect this is a 1420. Regardless, so this is it for today's operation. Quite happy with it. Took me a little while, but was definitely worth it. So I'll keep you posted on the additional things that I'm going to be working on this car. The next one will probably be the actual the boot, so the trunk lid that doesn't open anymore. I got a rough idea. Hopefully it's just a fuse, but I'm not sure. I'm gonna need to do some further testing. Stay put. See you later. Thank you. Hey everyone, so quick update on the brakes. Brakes are working really well. I mean, they're grabby and really really working well on the front. However, one thing that you might have noticed on your own car is that if you drive and if you go from drive to neutral and you let the car roll, your car should slow down gradually and all the way to a stop, right? What's happening here is that I can feel the rear is dragging, and actually as I get close to a stop, I feel it actually stop as if I was pressing the brakes. So the rear brakes actually will need some attention, and that's going to be the next project. I need to take the wheels off and take a look at it and see what's going on. So stay put for the next video.